So in this video, I'm going to talk you through the Stone Alpha dashboard. Please keep in mind that the website is better viewed on a laptop or a PC. This is the mobile phone view, so it's not really going to give you a feel for the full functionality, but if you're serious about your investments and valuing companies, then you should really be doing it on a bigger screen anyway. But hopefully you will get some idea in terms of what this site's about and how it's going to help you as an investor. But also if you're a financial content creator and you want to present this on YouTube or Instagram, you want to use some of the tools here, it makes your life a lot easier to just really present your investment case, and I'll show you how that's done. Final thing, please keep in mind that this is in beta at the moment, so there may be some data points at the moment that are still running through the code in the background, so you might see some updates live whilst I'm presenting this. So anyway, there are three pillars to this site. Okay, the first thing is stocks, how to value stocks, how to find stocks, how to then present those stocks, and how those stocks then present a story, what they're actually worth, what they could be worth, what they've been worth in the background, in the past. So it really just builds a story around stocks. So it also gives you autonomy and the ability to value stocks as you need to, but it can also push them through the lens of historically great investors like Warren Buffett, like Benjamin Graham, like Peter Lynch, Fisher, Soros, all those guys. So it will also push it through their lens. So we aggregate that and then we apply some logic and then coordinate that, weight that, and then generate our own scores, but it's through the lens of those established investors. Okay. The other thing is that we have something here called structural intelligence. This is something that tracks the big money, the political money, Trump's money maybe, so all these individuals, but it also tracks the hedge funds, so hundreds of billions that are rotating around various asset classes. It tracks what the asset managers are doing, what dealers are doing. So if you're inclined that way and you want a bit more of an in-depth story, the kind of macro view, structural intelligence will do that. And this is the most exciting thing, the research and thematics area of the portal. This is really, if you're in this for long-term investing, if you want to invest at the point where the labs are producing their tests, where the PhDs are in process, you really want to get ahead and understand what patents are being filed, that's going to be in here, but that isn't live yet, and I think that's going to be 2 or 3 months before that goes live, but it is in progress and it's very exciting what kind of results that's showing at the moment. Right now, I'll say on the research side, it's showing me some amazing things that are going to happen in 2028, 2029 with light, so photonics and things like that. So there's some amazing things coming that we can't even comprehend right now. So research thematics is going to help you understand themes before the crowd arrive. Okay, but I'm going to quickly now talk through stocks. When you click on the stocks thing, it will take you to a list like this. This is the screener, and the screener will give you 530 stocks that I've loaded into the system. The reason it's at 530 stocks is because I'm just going for the stocks that are over $1 billion US, the big ones, okay? And that's not to say that there aren't any more. There may be more, but these are being kind of coordinated according to a certain criteria. So I have loaded in 530 stocks. This will be about 1,000 stocks at the maximum. I might go to 2,000, but there's not really, as a business investor, then, you know, that's more than enough. You're not going to invest in 2,000 stocks, right? So, and at best, there's not going to be a lot of value out there at these peak prices. So, you know, I think, you know, a few hundred stocks is enough to have in the system. Okay. The other thing is this is not a trading app. We are a business app. We are investing in businesses. We're trying to understand what these businesses here are worth, whether or not you're paying too much, too little. So that's the view we're getting. We don't care about minute by minute prices. We care about overnight prices, weekly prices, trends, volume, things like that. So this screener, you can download it. It is, I think, 83, 84 columns wide. So there's a lot of information right through to employees and R&D, how much they're spending on R&D, when their next earnings are, ex-dividend dates, how many analysts are covering it as well. So that's quite a nice thing to be watching. But the thing that, as an investor, you have to have your kind of first point of calls. Where are you going to look first as an investor? And when you're looking to buy shares in a company, you have to take the attitude that you are looking to buy the whole company. You're not just looking to buy, a share. You have to take the attitude that, okay, look, if I had 5 trillion US dollars, how much would I be paying for Nvidia? That's the kind of attitude and approach you have to take to investing. Now, obviously, we haven't got $5 trillion. Otherwise, I wouldn't be doing this video. But I do have $205, so I can buy one share in the company or many shares. And that's the same thing as buying the whole company. You're just buying a share. It's the same attitude, right? I've said that a bit crudely, but that's, broadly speaking, that's the same kind of way you're thinking. Okay, so just what is the first point you see in any company? So typically you're going to want to know what price they're asking. So we know they're asking for they're asking for $205 a share right now, and you want to know what do you get for that. What earnings do you get for that? So for example, if I think about an ice cream van or a coffee shop, for example, if you think of a coffee shop, the owner is asking you for 500,000 US dollars. Okay, so, and then they tell you that, look, this business, it turns over whatever, but at the end of everything, at the end of the year, when everything's done and, I take my money out, it is $100,000 a year. So they say, I want 500,000 for this business, but it gives you $100,000 every year. Okay. What you're going to end up asking is, okay, so you're asking for 5 times what you're earning. Okay, and typically you're then going to try and understand whether that's worthwhile. Are you going to be in the business for 5 years to take your money back out? And you might negotiate with the owner and say, look, I'll give you 3 times what you're earning. I'll give you 2 times what you're earning. I'm going to give you maximum 3 times or whatever. Then you come to an agreement. A bit more complicated than that when it comes to the stock market, but typically that is the same starting point for some individuals. Okay, so we could see Nvidia here, for example, is trading at 31.5, let's just call it 31 times their earnings, right? So if you do 31 times whatever it is they're earning, okay, maybe 1.5 billion, whatever, you'll get 5 trillion. You could probably do that number as well. 5 trillion divided by 31, excuse me, is equal to whatever it is, right? You could do it probably more easier if you do $205 per share divided by 31, you'll get 6 or 7 or whatever they're earning now per share. So you could go into that. I'll click on the valuation view here, and it'll come to, where's their earnings per share? Earnings per share, trading 12 months, is $6.52. So $6.52 times 31, let's just see that on my calculator because I haven't done this. 6.52 times 31.5 equals 205, right? So that is $205 a share. So that's how much you're paying as a multiple. Now that's an important concept because now we're going to click in and we're going to start modeling Nvidia. We're going to start understanding, okay, if it's 31 times today, what have people paid in the past? What multiple have they paid in the past? Let's play around with that number. So we can see here $6.52 times 31, we get that price of $205. But if we play around with that number, we know the analysts are expecting them to start earning $8.96 per share, right? So that means at $205, it's no longer 31 times that, is it? It's a slightly lower multiple of 22 times, okay? So we know that earnings are likely to go up, okay? We know that the multiple, therefore, as a result, will come down. So we then play with that. So, okay, 22.9 on the future basis takes us to $205. Hey, let's see what the price is if we take it to about, 35, right? We know that 31's good. We know people are willing to pay that. Let's say 33. What does it take us to? It takes us to $295. Okay, so we know there is some mileage in this. We know there is some because we know people are willing to pay $31. We know we've seen this in the past. So this now gives us an indication of how to model the price. We know that there is a good kind of 15-20% or 44% left in Nvidia, but it goes more than that. We model their growth. The growth numbers here need a bit of work, but this is saying you're paying 63 cents for $1 worth of their growth. Okay, so if you take this to $1, which is a fair price, because if you want to pay for something, you're going to pay the price. So for $1 worth of growth, you want to pay $1, then that alone takes it to 335. So now we have a price target emerging of between 295 and 335 for a stock that's currently trading at $205. So now can you see the modeling valuation starting to take place? But you could now do this. You could see everything, every aspect of this company is laid out for you. But all that work now, do you really want to be doing all this modeling and checking things out, who's doing what price, etc.? You probably don't want to bother with that. So you go here onto Stock Report, and Stock Report, it will automatically be run every evening. Okay, so what it does, it just plugs in the variables of these particular individuals, right? So Warren Buffett, Peter Lynch, Graham, Soros, and Fisher, right? And it will plug in the numbers. It will plug in their metrics, their filters. So how they would filter stock. For example, Warren Buffett looks for return on investment, return on invested capital, whereas a Lynch will look at growth. So they have their own philosophy and approach to valuing a company. But what I've done, I've aggregated that together. But okay, let's disaggregate that. Let's just see some Buffett stocks right now, right? Buffett stocks, right? So he would be looking at Adobe now, for example. But would he? Because we knew he wasn't really into tech stocks to such a huge extent, but he would look at something like that. He may look at Expedia, travel company. I would say this is a good opportunity because this will be depressed because of the recent war. So based on its fundamentals, it may still be strong. So we'll click into that. We'll get a full report. Currently weighted 82, is scored 82. My scoring metric is very difficult, but if you want to see the scoring metric, you click on here, how we score. It will then break it down for you, show you where the weights are for each various fundamental metric. Okay, and it tells you how these investors would weigh it and how we've aggregated it and how we weigh that. So it gives you that, but then it also gives you strengths, weaknesses of the balance sheet, the books, where the opportunities are to the upside. And it says that, look, across all the screen results, this still has some fair growth left in there. And you can see now, get a decent view on their price earnings multiple, their forward P ratios, their pegs, and just look, it gives you a nice graphic to see where everything's headed. So you see the price is still on its way down a bit now, minus 4.2%. Based on its 200-day moving average. But I could talk to you about that in a bit more detail. We have a separate chart for a separate tool for that in here, which I could talk to you about. But over here, if you look at, so this gray line here is the 200 moving average. Is a key number that we look at when we're trying to understand relative price. And you could see that it is still quite way off there. So even on this basis alone, there is some upside to that. Now I could take this, okay, and I could go back into the price modeling page and just play around with those PE ratios again, right? But we have seen here, we're paying 75 cents for $1 worth of growth, very strong cash flow yield. Let's just see how that looks relative to its history. Wow, so it's quite high, right? And you want to see that yield beats a risk-free score, but I'm not going to get into that right now either. But okay, and then the best thing now, this is for financial content creators. You could save the PDF. It's going to upload. You do that, and it will give you a PDF that you can then share with your audience and give that to them, right? So there's a lot here for that. What else is that? So that's just for the stocks, right? I mentioned volume and charts. Now this isn't a charting tool, but if you want to understand your entry and exit positions, if you want to understand whether or not you're kind of like, if the market's like pricing this too high or it's like above certain averages, then this will give you that feel as well. Now I can't scroll across on my mobile phone view, but you could do that. So what was that stock? Was it Adobe? I can't remember. Adobe or into, I can't remember. ADBE. Let's just see. That's not here. So all signals. Let me just try. I've never tested this myself. So ADBE, yeah, it's here. You click into that, and then it shows you the chart relative to its history, right? So it shows you it's 4.5 standard deviations away from its average true range. So it's still got a little bit of downside possibly, but we can expect a reversion back up to this 200 mark at $300. So what was Adobe trading at? Let's get in here, the price model, Adobe. So you can see it's taking a battering, and I think this is down to the AI tools out there right now, but Adobe are integrating with AI tools. So I don't think the AI tools are going to end up working without Adobe. And remember, the AI tools, people still need to do their own adjustments on that. So what have we got here? Forward EPS of $23, trading at 10, forward P of 10. Historic P range has been as high as the median's been 40. So we could quite comfortably take this up to 30 or something and see how that works. And the current price is 251. So let's go ahead and take this up to say 2025. So you could see there's a lot of mileage in Adobe, right? There's a potential upside of, saying 100% here, but even if we're conservative at 20-25%, we could see Adobe has some strength behind it. Are the earnings aren't getting hammered on a year-by-year basis? Yeah, there's some marginal decline. There's some negativity here by the looks of it. So there's a bit of marginal decline. But it's not getting totally hammered on a quarter-by-quarter basis. Yearly, okay, they might get hit, but that's going to be priced in. But they still got growth. So I don't know why the market's hammered Adobe. I don't know why, but there's obviously big reasons out there around, I think it's around AI. But if we model this up, so if we look at growth, and let's take this up to 1, because eventually we'll be paying 1. So look, even at $1, right, if you take that growth down from what's expected, there's a lot of mileage in this. I would probably consider buying Adobe. Even in the conservative terms, it's a lot higher than where it is right now. Okay, so this is an interesting stock. So that's what the system does for you, right? This is just on stocks. So if I now go into, I want to show you, I'll say, look, I'm going to quickly show you this because this is now we're going into the macroeconomic world. But CFTC large money is large money tracker. Okay, so where is the big money at? And this gives you, so if you look at market detail here, you could see, sorry, not market detail. We'll go to overview. Actually, let's go to market detail, and you could see, for example, if we go to crypto, because crypto is now traded by these big hedge funds and these big organizations. If we look at Bitcoin, we could see why it got hammered, because look, 4 weeks ago, 4.5 weeks ago, the short positions were massive. So the hedge funds were smashing this down, but you didn't see it until sort of last week or week before, right? So you didn't see it come down. But if I saw this reported, I think I actually did put a post out there saying that this was about $83,000, I beg your pardon, and it just came hammering down after that. So this really is an important feature because it helps you track the big money and see, okay, you could see here that these guys, the hedge funds, are still likely to start shorting even more. If they're they're covering their shorts now. So they're buying back. They're starting to buy into Bitcoin at this moment. Okay, so there's a lot of information here as well. But I'm going to take you to, there was one more thing I wanted to show you here, which is pretty good. So you could filter here by the most short. You can see the most short these bonds, Bitcoins, that thing, they're still quite relatively short on that, even in the S&P. But there was another thing. Yeah, it's only you can only see it on the laptop. So there's something called by exposure. So it shows you how much each one of these are worth. Because if they're short on something that's so small, it doesn't really matter. But anyway, we'll talk about that another time. This is the one I really want to just go into a little bit more. It's passworded at the moment because it's not live. So this is, here we go, thematic markets. Right, this is the most exciting one for me, because it really takes you to the future, right? It's quite dystopian from that perspective, and it shows you, like, for example, things like you know, where's the intro, like space, for example, all the stocks related to space. You know, we know SpaceX are launching now, so all the critical materials, the space chips, optics, things like that, all those companies. That's just one theme, right? So you've got many other themes here, like, I don't do defense, but cybersecurity, who's innovating around that. And some of these will obviously be robotics and autonomy. You'll see NVIDIA in here, but all these companies, and it's an exciting and a very, very exciting portal. So I encourage you to use it if you are interested, but also keep in mind that there is still some build work going on behind this. Okay, if there's anything you want to see as well, please let me know. But I hope there's some use in this video.